everyone. Welcome to the Board of Trustees public session agenda. Today is July 8th, 2021. The time is 6:08 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Per usual, we shall rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we'll begin our meeting with the Employee of the Month, and there are certainly a lot of employees to recognize, and we're looking forward to recognizing all our employees throughout the village. However, tonight, the Employee of the Month is Miranda Weber. She is my assistant, and she deserves the Employee of the Month in just such a important and incredible way, because this has been a long, tough period, and I'd like to just quickly recognize a few achievements among the many that Miranda has done. She came in here, she learned very quickly. She has worked 7 days a week in order to not just help me and the board, but the entire village as a whole. She wears many hats, not just an assistant, but she serves as an aide, she serves as a liaison to the community, and she serves as a general athlete to the village, helping everybody out in every way. Most notably, during the peak of the pandemic, she was critical in helping us set up our COVID testing, helping seniors get vaccines. She was instrumental in rolling out our new quality of life app, See Click Fix. She's been working, she worked tirelessly on the landmarking of the Pierce Concert Home in coordination with the ARB. She is helping us with ideas for the movie theater. She is coordinating every item, every aspect of the village, and much of this work is done behind the scenes. So we just wanted to thank Miranda for her hard work. She is a welcome addition to the village of Southampton, and we're extremely appreciative of her hard work. So thank you, Miranda, and we'd like to, again, recognize you as the Employee of the Month.
Maybe
thank you.
Miranda. Hiding behind the screen there.
So tonight, we do not have any board presentations, though we have 3 public hearings. So I'll make a motion to open our first public hearing. That is to amend. Actually, I'm sorry, we're going to go back here. That was my mistake. We'll have public comment. I was very excited to announce Miranda as Employee of the Month. So we'll open public comment. And if anyone has public comment, please feel free to come forward.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees. My warmest congratulations on your decisive election. I'm here this evening at this 8th July meeting of our Southampton Village Board of Trustees for a solemn purpose, to ask you for an essential clarification of the omissions from your oath of office, your sworn promise to uphold the general laws of the state of New York. That is not covered by the Constitution. That is a solemn responsibility. Does this odd omission from your oath mean that you wouldn't uphold the New York State Open Meetings law and not provide the public with minutes of a meeting where important decisions are voted on? You recently signed a contract for a new comprehensive plan. As you know, New York State mandates that a new zoning code implements a valid comprehensive plan. If you do not swear an oath to uphold the laws of the state of New York, you would be free to ignore the comprehensive plan when you do your new zoning code. I'm sure you couldn't possibly have meant that. The New York State Legislature passed SECRA law to protect our state's historic and environmental heritage. Therefore, New York State SECRA law requires that each new zoning code pass a rigorous SECRA review. Are you saying that you would vote in another zoning code without such a SECRA review? I'm sure you don't mean that. New York State has a law containing sacred promises to property owners in subdivisions that protect their common plan and scheme and their deeds. Are you planning to allow some local laws to break those New York State promises? I'm sure not. After the common experience shared in our village, you can imagine that this omission from your oath of office has been troubling. Thus, in view of the confusing omission, I am announcing herewith this petition for you, Mr. Mayor, and every trustee to make a public one-sentence sworn affidavit which promises that you will uphold the general laws of the state of New York as you're duty bound to do. Perhaps you could have this done by the end of the day tomorrow. It is a nitpick, but a very serious one, because in effect, you would be declaring yourself free of that obligation. So best wishes for your continued success. I'm sorry to start the season with a nitpick, but it is an important one. If I may, always prepared. Would you mind passing these to them? And I have a copy for you, just so there's no ambiguity. This is your copy.
This would probably need to be reviewed by our village attorney.
Oh, I have a copy for him. I know he said he didn't need any information from me, but.
It's kind of what I can't remember either what I had for breakfast, but I do remember the swearing in ceremony. And I remember the rehearsal I did with Judge Wilson, in which she mentioned New York State. Literally, the time that I stood at the podium with my hand raised in the air is a bit of a blur, and I can't remember, but I think that might have been included in my swearing in. I just would have to check the video to see.
Yeah, well, I was so struck by the fact that it wasn't, that I did this because it is quite troubling, probably in terms of recent history. But I'm sure you need to. I think it would be neat to. Huh?
I was just having a conversation with the attorney.
Oh. If it's about this, I'd love to know about it. It was the Constitution that you swore to, and the New York State Constitution is sort of a mechanical document that merely states how judges will be elected and so on. It has nothing to do with the laws, each of which is separately thought out by the legislature and according to the Enabling Act, and they tell precisely what they expect. So aside from that, of course, it's very auspicious beginning.
You're just requesting that we swear to uphold the laws of the New York State, not the Constitution of New York State.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you can uphold the Constitution, but the important part is the general laws, which means those that are applicable not just to one county or one village or one city, although New York is exempted from a lot of things by the Constitution, but just that you will uphold the general laws of the state of New York. That would cover it, would prevent this kind of a problem. I'm so sorry to start on that note. On the other hand, I am thrilled to pieces to see you all up there. Everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Preparing for guests, more guests.
Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Thank you. And you can also state your name and address for the record.
Sure, Stephen Padilla, 17 Beechwood Drive. I also offer my congratulations to all of you on your election. I want to lodge an objection to something your predecessors did in one of their last meetings. As you may or may not know, Little Plains Beach has traditionally been a beach that's been open to all members of Southampton Town and Village who choose to buy a beach permit. Last year, that designation was changed to village residents only in order to accommodate the COVID restrictions placed on the town of Southampton, the village of Southampton, and all beaches within the state to reduce capacity. That's an understandable change that I think we all recognize needed to be done. This year, however, the board in one of their last meetings, weeks after village beach permits went on sale, changed the designation at Little Plains Beach to be village residents only. So town residents, like myself, who bought beach passes when they first came out online, bought them assuming that we could go to Little Plains Beach. Little Plains Beach is the beach we have gone to my daughter's entire life. It was much to my surprise to find a few weeks ago that there was a new sign up effective 5/28/21, well after the passes went on sale, changing that designation. It is not only, I believe, unfair to those people who were asked to get on the ball and buy their beach passes right early on, but I also fear that it's part and parcel of a wider trend happening across this country where local governments are using the pandemic as an excuse to reclaim spaces for the wealthy. It certainly appears that way. And I would hope that in this session that you all would reconsider the decision made by your predecessors and open Little Plains Beach back up to all residents who have beach permits purchased through the village. I can tell you, we take a lot of pride in our association with Little Plains Beach. Even though they have removed the baskets, my daughter and I still pick up trash off the beach to make sure it was cleaner than when we first found it. She goes there to be with her friends, many of whom live south of the highway. We're not that fortunate. We live north of the highway. It's a hard thing to explain. I hope that you will see this both in a social justice way, but also in a neighborly way, that the neighborly thing to do is to keep the beach open for all residents, town and village, and that you will seek to do better than those who came before you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comment that we received via email? If
There
not,
was communication,
You have at least
there was a communication to the board, but I would read that later on.
okay, thank you. We can now move forward with our public hearings. I'll make a motion to open our first public hearing tonight. That's to amend the Village Code, Chapter 110, Section 110-43, Schedule 8, speed regulations, more specifically, impose a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit on Halsey, Pelham, and Prospect Streets and Somerset Avenue. So I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Ken, is there anything else you wanted to add? For the record, I have a few comments I'd like to make.
Yeah, no, I have nothing to add.
Okay. So we've had this, I'd like to turn this over to the board in just a moment. We've had this public hearing open for some time now. And we discussed as a board that we all agree that it's imperative that we do a traffic study, which is just about underway. And that traffic study will get us some data so we can make decisions regarding this. But in the interim, we had discussed that we have an urgent and an immediate need, in my opinion, to at least address some of our residents' concerns, particularly these streets. These seem to be problematic. So I think it could make sense tonight to adopt this law. If it turns out that it doesn't make sense, we could always have another public hearing and reverse it. But ultimately, we're just going to be slightly reducing the speed limits due to some traffic and speeding on these streets and avenues. And when we get the global or the traffic study done, we'll be able to make additional adjustments. So this is in my opinion, a start in the right direction. It's something that we can do temporarily until we get the study back. And I believe that we'll have a lot of happy and safer residents on these four streets. So I just wanted to open this up to the board for any additional comments.
Mr. Mayor, I would also suggest that in view of our new role as joint board with you as the police commissioner and all four trustees as overseeing the police department, that one of our first activities when we discuss with the police department what our goals are going forward would be, not only do we need to create rules, speed limits like this, but they need to be enforced. And there needs to be a presence on those streets at times so that people actually obey the new speed limits that we would be putting into effect today.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. I do want to thank our law enforcement community. We have a few officers on some of these streets, a few on foot due to some residents' concerns. And then the deputy mayor might be able to talk about, just for a moment, the two data collection machines that we have.
Yes, and they're due to arrive any day now. I thought they were actually going to be here already, but like with everything else, after COVID, there's a delay in any appliance or any kind of machinery. But also, I'd just like to point out that we do have a resolution tonight that we to sign for the traffic study as well. So we're moving forward with the traffic study. And we have these two speed devices that will also be able to collect data, which is very different than just the sign that says, oh, you're going 35 miles an hour or slowing down or something like that. We could move them around, they're mobile, so we could put them in any problem streets that we care to have them at. And also they collect data, which I said is very important, so that would help us in, with some of these expenditures for the outside companies doing the traffic studies as well. We could do some ourselves. So I wish they were here already, but they should be here any day. So, and as far as, I would like to see this as a resolution this evening. I'd like to see this pass, and so it would be a start to helping these people on these streets. I mean, I've encountered numerous times on the street, crossing one of these streets, and I was almost hit by a bus. So, and then I didn't see the way they were speeding. There was a car parked, and there was somebody speeding to go around the corner. I'm sure everybody could relate to that happening. So I think this would help in the interim. And if the study says something otherwise, we could always, revert back.
I'd like to add that if it's up to me, I certainly make the whole goal of 25, but that's against state law, so we can't do that. I just want to add to Trustee Stevenson's point that I actually have spoken to the police many times, but enforcement, I do believe as a collective board, and we all oversee the police, that we do have an additional conversation with them to emphasize that. However, I do think, given how busy it's been out here this summer thus far, staffing does become an issue. But I do believe that they have done the best they can with the issues they have, but we also can emphasize that to them, and they are more than willing to have this conversation. So I'd be more willing to sit down with them and address these issues as well.
Thank you, Trustee McLaughlin. Are there any other comments from the board? If not, I will. Trustee Brown, I don't have any comments. If not, it's okay. We can close it as well.
I guess my concern is that I think it's in wisdom to adjust it to 25, and if the data shows that it can always be changed, but wisdom says we can save a life or an injury, and I would agree with going that direction.
Trustee Brown, thank you very much. So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. I think, Ken, do we have a resolution later on to vote on this?
I do not believe it's on the agenda.
Okay, we can, I'm sure we can add that as well. So, okay, so we'll do that in the resolution section after resolution 12. So I'll make a motion to close this public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. So we have our public hearing number 2. I'll make a motion to open it. That's the continuation to amend the Village Code, Chapter 110, Section 110-43. Chapter 3 to add a new Article 5, terms of office for village mayor and village trustee, more specifically limiting the holding of office to 8 years. Ken, I know you have a few comments to make.
Mr. Mayor, yes, you had asked me to prepare this local law, I guess maybe 2 months ago or so. And when I was re-reviewing the local law for tonight's meeting, I noticed that there's some changes that I would like to make to the local law. There's some items in here that I think need to be tweaked. So I think it would be prudent not to move forward with this particular draft. So I would recommend that you close the public hearing and then take no action on this proposed local law.
I do have one question. Is it the intention of this board to change the term in terms of the re-ranking term to 2 to 4 years, or is it just a cap of the amount of years we can serve? Because traditionally, in those, it's been two-year terms for trustees and mayor. I'm curious to know, are we also, in addition, changing to a 4-year term, or are we just doing 2 years?
I don't believe that this law does address that.
Okay, so we are just looking at just capping 2-year terms to have 4 consecutive 2-year terms. Is that correct? Or, sorry, 5.
That's how I drafted it.
Okay.
This draft doesn't address at all anything about the length of the term of office.
Okay, that was my thought.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Now, that could be done if the board would like that, but just so you know, just to clarify, Trustee McLaughlin, nothing could be done retroactively.
Correct.
While it'd be great, I'd love to give myself a 4-year term, we cannot do that legally, so.
No, I understand, I just want clarification.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing, and then it can be renoticed by our team here. So I'll make a motion to close public hearing number 2.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
We have public hearing number 3. I'll make a motion to open it. That's the continuation to amend the Village Code, Chapter 110, Section 110-37, Schedule F, stop intersections. More specifically, to install stop signs on Meeting House Lane at the intersection of Pine Street, eastbound and westbound. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Okay, I'm not sure if anything did. I think this is one that actually needs a little more, I think this is a good idea, but I think this is something that might need a bit more clarification. So I think what I'd like to see the board do, but open to everyone's opinion, is just to adjourn this to a future meeting, and we can get some more information. Perhaps this is one thing that would be better suited after a traffic study.
Well, I also would like to see if we can maybe table this to maybe September. I don't know what the length of the site would be, but if we table to a date in the fall after the day is collected, so that we don't keep adjourning it, or we can set a date tonight or whatever. I also want to ask maybe Trustee Russ, can we have Gary come and present to us as to the history of this intersection and what has transpired over the years? Because I believe there was a stop sign there years ago and it was removed. So I would like to get clarification from him as well as the study. Would that be amenable?
Yes, of course.
I think we could do that. It could, Shirley, do you have any idea, or Deputy Mayor, the time length of the traffic study? Do you know when that would be?
No, I don't know. Did they say when they would start that, or?
Just looking at
It should happen as soon as possible.
understanding.
I agree with Trustee McLaughlin.
We have a contract
Oh,
right
no,
here.
we have the contract.
As soon as the, they do not have a timeline in here. They don't have a timeline.
I would prefer that we have it done, within the next month, because seasons,
I think Gary's ready to rock and roll. on
There's
this.
no point
Yes,
having,
I think he's ready to.
Yeah.
there's no point having it in the fall or winter. Have it now. Make sure they start as soon as possible.
I was thinking about adjourning this. I mean, we could adjourn it additional month. We could adjourn it to the work session in August. That would get us some more time.
Can we table it until then?
Be nice to keep it going rather than having to close it and renotice it.
Right.
Would just save us some time and effort.
But do we have, if we table, do we have to notice that it's tabled, or is it? I don't know, is there really that much of a difference?
Is there a notice requirement?
Table
Like how long
versus-
would you have to?
If you adjourn it without date, you'd have to renotice it. If you adjourn it right now to a date specific, you'll be okay.
So if we make it September, the first meeting in September,
Right. Maybe the work session.
well, we try not to have public hearings at work sessions.
Oh, right, yeah.
Maybe my first board meeting in September,
Okay.
which would be.
What's that date in September?
Thursday, September 9th.
That would
That's
be-
right.
Yeah, would be-
The ninth.
yeah,
September 9th.
okay.
So we'll make a motion to adjourn this to Thursday, September 9th, 2021. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so those are our public hearings for tonight. Thank you very much, everybody. We have a communications to the board. Charlene, I'll let you quickly address that. That's from Tim McCarthy, an email requesting Board of Trustees consider resident irrigation legislation to be added to our village law.
Yes, there was an email that I received that was forwarded to my office from Tim McCarthy. He was, I did forward the email to the board, and I will read it. Basically, dear Mayor Warren, I know there's a written law on the standards we must uphold in the village, keeping the residents property frontage green, clean and maintained, but residents should be responsible and neglect for irrigation systems out into the street. A law should be written to maintain the irrigation system properly in accordance with village law. Rain shutoff systems must be installed to shut off irrigation if 0.1 inch of or more of rain falls. No irrigating every day on street frontage. Proper maintenance of sprinklers, nozzles, water pattern and direction as to not water streets and only water in what is intended to be watered. Proper adjustment of water stream should be maintained and not into the village streets or sidewalks. Any puddling, pending of water gives cause of irrigation, faulty maintenance over the watering. Proper irrigation application is best between the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. for maximum utilization. Irrigation systems are not programmed and maintained, causing overwatering, diseases, pending, puddling, leaching of chemicals and fertilizers, contaminated groundwater due to water washing oils, antifreeze, gear, and hydraulic oils from streets into the soil, thus into our water supply. Even town hall and other village properties are guilty of this. Landscapers, property managers, and homeowners should be held responsible. I think as mayor, newly elected mayor, you should help to conserve water, reduce water runoff, pollution, contamination of water, and reduce the overgreen standards of the village. Brown should be allowed, not discriminated against. Attached, please find photos of Meadow Lane today, June 29th. Please put a stop to this and an amendment or make a new law. Signed, Tim McCarthy.
Can we discuss or we didn't want to that for public hearing?
I think that's a communication to the board, but it could be a good thing for our.
We should bring it up for discussion maybe amongst ourselves. I mean,
We can do that. This might be a good thing to have our Clean Water Committee look into and advise us on, but we're always welcome to have any
Or environmental
committee.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a good way to start, but I think that's a great idea, Trustee McLaughlin. So we now have our suggested resolutions, and Charlene will let you take it from here.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 1, resolved that the claims for the warrant dated July 8th, 2021, totaling $313,657.27, warrant A4 general fund, and $3,072.60, warrant T4 CS trust fund, be audited and approved. You have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 2, resolved that the reading of the minutes for the public sessions of June 22nd, 2021 and July 6th, 2021 be dispensed with, and that those minutes be accepted as filed with the village administrator, and that the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 3, resolved that the Board of Trustees appoint Max Greenwald as Cooper's Beach attendant effective June 12th, 2021. Do we have a resolution? I'm sorry, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 4, resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the increase in pay for Cooper's Beach staff annotated on the register effective July 8th, 2021. And I believe that there was an attachment into the agenda.
Yes. It's here, actually.
Just some background information, because I think there are many staff members on here, so I'm not going to take the time to read this entire spreadsheet. At the recommendation of our Cooper's Beach manager, Matt Weeks, when we appointed the staff, we had a conversation early on. We have some of our beach staff making $11 an hour, which is well below any type of reasonable wage. Although these employees, some of these employees who are working part-time and seasonal are exempt from the minimum wage law, it is still the intent of the board to make an adjustment to pay a more fair wage to these young folks that work. Some of them have been here for over 20 years, some of our lifeguards. So there was a recommended schedule which increased the salaries as a total of 23,000. I think the impact on the budget somewhere was about $12,000, but we had excess funds budgeted for it because we had made me aware of this before we prepared the budget, so we were, it was built into the budget. This is just a formal adjustment for these staff members, and I think Kathy prepared a packet for you, so this will be posted on the minutes and read into the minutes. But basically, a few dollars each, that's about the adjustment for each of these staff members. So, does anyone have any questions?
No, the only thing I'll add is I think this is a really good thing. This was brought actually to our attention by a resident at a prior board meeting. It was our, for whatever reason, the village was paying our very valuable Coopers Beach staff below what was the Suffolk County minimum wage and also what could be considered a universal minimum wage. Just the cost of living, even if you're a student, is extremely high if you're in the village of Southampton or even near the village of Southampton on Long Island. So I think this is extremely well deserved, and it makes me very happy to see some of the hardworking staff members we have getting raises being brought to $15 per hour at a minimum, and other members who have been working for 6 years or more being brought to higher levels. This is the least we can do. They run one of the best beaches in the country, and they're out there all day in extremely hot weather or sometimes uncomfortable conditions. So I see a lot of familiar names on this list. I mean, there's a lot of good people on this list, just in the top. And we've got Santino Arnold, who's, in Southampton High School. We've got Caroline, Palumbo. We've got just a lot of good people on this list. And so I'm very happy to see this. I think it's extremely well-deserved and the least we can do. And it's just great that everyone is making at least $15 per hour. Great names here. Lane Yastrzemski, happy to see this happen.
It is the second best beach in the country.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So Mayor, you will be making a motion?
I'll make the motion, yes.
A second? Oh, I'm sorry, I already had the second from Trustee Brown. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, resolved, the Board of Trustees authorized temporary parking for 4x4 permitted vehicles at the heliport lot until the end of piping plover nesting season, August 15th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 6, resolved that the Board of Trustees approve Nelson Pope and Voorhees to prepare a feasibility study for the Main Street bioswales not to exceed $5,000 to be paid from the Trustees Special Projects Fund. We have a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 7, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the Hamptons Baseball Foundation's use of Downs Family Park to offer weekly youth baseball clinics in conjunction and coordination with the Southampton Little League through August 30th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 8, resolved that the Board of Trustees accepts the proposal from VHB Engineering Landscape Architecture Geology PC to conduct a traffic study of targeted village streets for the purpose of calming speeding in the amount of $23,490 to be paid from Trustees Special Projects Fund A1010 4.433, and be it further resolved, the mayor is authorized to execute contracts for services. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second that, and I will also add that it will start as soon as this is approved. I just got a message. Okay?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolved that the Board of Trustees creates a Vietnam Memorial Task Force, and members will be appointed at a future meeting. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 10, resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the attached Budget Amendment 313 for fiscal year end May 31st, 2021 for various budget line shortfalls, total transfer of $237,394.74. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
A second?
Second?
Just as a point of
Quick question. What was the reason for the transfers?
Okay, so what normally happens at the end of the year is that we have to prepare a year-end accrual of wages. So our payroll for the first paycheck in June is for a period that overlaps our fiscal year, which ends May 31st. So of the 10 days in that pay period, 7 of them were for the prior period. So we have to prepare a journal entry to take those earned wages and expense them back into the prior year. When we did that, there were some budget shortfalls. So if you look at the actual detail on the budget sheet, you'll see that we're just transferring money from one line to another. There was also a budget shortfall in police because of the there was a retirement, and but this was all transferred from within other budget lines. So it wasn't an increase of the budget. We were taking money from an employee benefit line and putting it into salary. So it's unspent money that was just reallocated. So we actually had to do this in 2 pieces. The next resolution is for the current fiscal year, and I'll explain that right while I'm explaining this one. We all remember that this year we made some reallocation of our budget. We have now the employee benefits budgeted in each department instead of in one lump sum employee benefit cost center as it was in the past, and we allocated those lines over. During that process, and using our new software, there were a couple little glitches because it was the first year we implemented our budget software, and a few of our line items for, say, ambulance, fire, and land use boards, which are all paid on a part-time basis, their employee benefits ended up being budgeted in that lump sum line. So we need to reallocate that money into the department. So the second budget line, budget modification of $104,000, is actually same thing. We're just reallocating funds that were budgeted in one line that need to be put into the other line because of that first year of revamping our budget. So, all right. Any other questions? All right, so on resolution number 10, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 11, that the Board of Trustees approves the attached budget amendment 314 for the fiscal year May 31st, 2022 for various budget line shortfalls, total transfer $104,698.63. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 12, resolved that the Board of Trustees appoints Lydia Palmer to the position of temporary clerk in the mayor's office at an hourly rate of $25 per hour, effective July 8th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I do have one quick question about that. What's going to be her, is she part-time, and what her duties? She was an intern previously. I just didn't know, is her duties going to change, or what's...
I believe the mayors would probably answer that question better than I. A temporary clerk would be a clerical position, and we do have 3 spots with civil service for part-time temporary clerk.
Okay.
We have one in our office, which is Ms. McCulley. These are positions that can, but a 90-day temp is basically somebody who can work up to full-time hours, which would be 30 hours a week, for the period of 90 days.
So she'll be working technically 30 hours a week plus for $20 per hour. Okay.
30 hours a week, and I believe it's only effective for 90 days, and then the position expires. There are no benefits associated with it as well.
Yes. Thank you.
And the other point to clarify is that there's specific civil service rules and regulations, and so an intern has a certain hourly limitation, and so by being a temporary clerk, one could work more hours over a shorter period of time, so that will allow us to get some much needed help, especially during the busiest months of the summer season. So that also is very effective to obviously switch.
Of course, I just want clarification on that.
Okay, that's it. Any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We do have a supplemental resolution agenda, and that was handed out. I would like to request a motion that the agenda be, the supplemental agenda be added to the resolution agenda.
I'll make the motion.
And do you want to add to that supplemental resolution the local law concerning the speed limits?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have to do that as a separate add-on to the supplement, or do I just add it on to the supplemental before we add the supplement?
We added onto the supplemental list before they,
And we have to remove the first resolution because I think we've already acted on that earlier in the resolution. That was just a duplication typo. We already approved, the board has already approved the Hamptons Baseball Foundation. That was added.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, that was added again. So, all right, so Ken, do you want to recite the, or do you want to just?
new resolution?
Or are you going to just read it as it comes up?
I'll just read it as it comes up.
Okay. So we have 4 resolutions on the supplemental agenda. One is amending a term of office for our registrar. The other is for upgrade to our village website for the comprehensive plan update, and we have to renotice a public hearing for the demolition law, and there'll be 4 resolutions. The 4th will be for the adopting the local law for this speed limit.
Correct.
Okay, so we have a motion from the mayor. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so resolution number 1 on the supplemental is going to be, do we need a resolution to table that since it's on the agenda, or?
I'll make the resolution to table it.
All right, we're going to table resolution number 1 on the supplemental agenda as it's already been passed on the previous agenda. Resolution number 2 on the
Sorry, I think we probably
Second.
just vote on
I'm
that.
sorry.
Tabling. Sorry about that. Okay.
Table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Supplemental resolution number 2, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the amendment for the clerk's office appointment for Mylene Michelle Guerra from 1-year term ending June 30th, 2022 to a 2-year term ending June 30th, 2023.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Supplemental resolution number 3, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the proposal submitted by BFJ Planning to assist the village by developing materials for and designing a standalone website for the Village Civic Plus platform for use in the comprehensive plan update to be funded through donations. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the village administrator to notice a public hearing on July 20th, 2021 at 6 p.m. The Board of Trustees in the Village of Southampton, pursuant to Chapter 116-37 of the Code of the Village of Southampton, and shall consider the proposal to amend the Village Code, Chapter 116-37, permits, building permits, certificates, or occupancy fees enforcement. More specifically, the proposed modification to the code is intended to require a review of any proposed demolition of any structure 70 years or older. The procedure will require a referral to the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation.
Discussion? I know a little bit about this, but not enough. My understanding is that the existing law in the books set the date when it was created as 1925?
1927.
1927.
It's
The trustees
26.
even, so I actually was assisting with at least Chairman Broadleaf in trying to address this. The ARB had worked very hard on this. They came to us with an original proposal of 50 years demolition review. Given the pushback from the public, I worked with the board as to amend it as to a more amenable to the for the public overall. So the compromise was to do a cutoff date of, I believe, not 1950, to move it from 26 to 1950, and then possibly having a review of anything 50 years older by a subcommittee, which was discussed, I believe, if you want to go back and look at the minutes from those meetings, I believe in April of this year, or was it March of this year that they were in front of us. So I would encourage you to look at those minutes and we can always sit down and talk with Jeff and the board about that.
So my sense would be that the existing law probably has been around for 10 or some number of years.
About 12 years.
12 years. So at that point in time, it would have been roughly 80 years ago or
Correct.
whatnot.
82 years.
And the problem with the existing law is it just sets it as a fixed date in time, whereas the new law will keep the date sliding as we move ahead in time.
You know, again, the law is subject to, we can still amend it going forward, but as of right now, it had to be reissued because of, there was a delay because it was changed. But we can always sit down with the board members of the ARB prior to the next public hearing.
And I believe that Jeff Broadleaf does have, he will do a presentation the night of the public hearing. He brings a PowerPoint and, does a very
I believe
thorough.
the one he gave is still on the website, is that correct?
It is still on the website.
Yeah.
And yes, it is a set date. It's actually an actual date. It says I think it's November 1926, is
That's
it?
correct. It's
November 21st or something. It's actually a date.
Yeah, because it's in with the Sanborn map and other insurance maps at the time, so that's why it was set to date.
So this is going to notice it. We'll have the public hearing at the next meeting, and members of the ARB will be here to present to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Second.
I'll make the motion.
Second, Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then, Ken, you can read that last resolution for us?
Sure. So this is going to be resolution number 5 on the supplemental agenda, a resolution to adopt and approve local law number, I think it's 3.
Might be 4. I think 3 was our change in the dining.
Okay. So to adopt the local law to amend Chapter 110, Section 110-39, Schedule H, speed regulations. So is there a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Pretty fast, Ken.
Like
Charlene.
that.
He's going to take my job now.
Yes.
That's it.
When I go to the DB vacancy,
Is there?
Yes, there's one more
there's
appointment. I'll let either Ken or Charlene read that, and I'll make the motion.
Sure. Mayor Warren would like to announce the appointment of Joyce Giffra, excuse me, I apologize, to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term ending June 30th, 2026, replacing Kevin Gadra, whose term expired June 30th, 2021.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so we'll move forward to the comments from board members. Trustee Oresta, just per alphabetical order, you're first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Miranda. Not only is she, you just blossomed in this job, and came here, and you just went from the ground up, Miranda, and you just took it all on. You do so much here. And I know that you are not only a tremendous help to the mayor, but you've also been a tremendous, big help to me as well. And I want to thank you for it, and I think it's well-deserved. So I'm going to give you a little round of applause. And she's so embarrassed. You should put the camera on her. She's red. But well-deserved, Miranda. There's a storm coming, as everybody knows, a very big storm that's coming tomorrow. And Gary sent me a note that they're clearing out, or they've cleaned out the drains, they're testing the generators, and they are, DPW is ready for the storm. He's hearing 2 inches of rainfall, 40 miles an hour winds, so hopefully it's not going to be that bad. And the lake level is at 35 inches, he says, so we have a small amount of room to store water as well. So the increase in the drainage installations that they have been working on over the last year, well, actually really the last 6 months, have really been helping out a lot. So hopefully this storm will pass without incident. And as I mentioned before, we're waiting on our 2 speed machines, so hopefully they'll come soon. And we've been working very hard to get those charging stations ready, and Gary informed me the delay is the equipment once again. Everything is in place to go once the equipment is received. We were hoping that they would be in by July 4th, but obviously they're not. But I know everybody's looking forward to getting those electric charging stations in, and we haven't forgotten, and we're working very hard on it. And that's it. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Trustee Resto. Trustee Brown?
Well, let me say congratulations to Miranda. I've known you briefly, but you've made a great impact already, and I just want to thank you, and I'm so proud I'm with the team that recognizes their employees. So again, congratulations.
All right. Pretty good congratulations today. Okay, next is Trustee McLaughlin.
Of course, I want to echo the previous points of good job, Miranda. Well deserved after almost a year with us. So, congrats. I also want to say welcome back to Lydia. She was with us in spring. I hope that I'm sure she will come back with even a. Obviously, she will come back and do probably as good of a job, if not better, than she was before. And welcome to her, and welcome to Joyce Schiffer on the ZBA. It's great to have a new voice, and hopefully, good luck to her. Good luck to Ms. Schiffer as well. And also, obviously, we can't. We have to say thank you to Mr. Geider, who I think was a 36-year veteran of the board. So. Thank you to your 30-plus years of service, to the ZBA's chairman and also as a board member. And I also want to bring up to the board's attention, I received a few calls and messages over the 4th of July weekend about the beaches and the catered parties that we do allow on them. I actually would like to propose to the board that we put forth legislation regarding this issue of parties, that we obviously allow them, but we have the person who's hosting, whether that be the caterer or the person who's hiring the caterer, to post a bond of I would say $50 per person, because there was a party over 4th of July where the next day there was garbage and other debris left behind. So I would like to see, obviously, hopefully the issue was addressed. Normally, I think it is addressed through beaches, but I would like to see going forward, at least during the summer season, or even the winter months, to have a bond posted, possibly a bond posted, or have fines put in place so our beaches are not left in such a way in which the residents and other visitors don't either see garbage or harm themselves with any debris left behind. So if that's amenable to the board, I'd like to propose that, and we can discuss it in an executive session, but I would like to have that addressed as soon as possible.
Thank you, Trustee McLaughlin. Well said. And next is Trustee Stevenson.
Miranda, I've only known you for a few weeks, but I've been totally impressed by your organizational skills, and I just want to say I know herding Jesse is a full-time job, but if you have a few extra moments and can keep me on track, I definitely would appreciate it as well. Fellow trustees and Mayor Warren, it was my incredible pleasure a few days ago on July 5th to participate in the 4th of July Southampton Village Parade. Mayor Warren, at the organizational meeting, you remarked on what a tremendous event it was, how popular it was, how much love the people of our village showed for it by donating $7,000 to help fund next year's parade. And I have to say, for myself, who has watched that parade from a little boy sitting on the curb to this year to walking in it, it was a once-in-a-lifetime dream sort of come true. And it just, I could not imagine the thoughts that were going through my head as I walked down the street and all the people waving their flags. I just felt this is such a part of the fabric that is America. We have the inclusion of so many different groups that make up our community. We honor our first responders, our military. I really have to say that just watching the people waving the flags, united in their patriotism and love of America, it really just made me feel very proud. And so it was that I regret, and I feel I must comment on the fact that one group that participated in the parade, the North Sea Fire Department, decided to use their float as a vehicle for making political statements. This is America, and individuals who disagree or are critical of the board are free to voice their opinions, and I encourage them to do so. But organizations which are funded with taxpayer dollars are not entitled to the same privileges and are expected to remain politically neutral. The NSFD's float impugned the electoral process that resulted in Trustee Brown, Mayor Warren's, and my election. Their float included comments that were derogatory towards you, Mayor Warren. Their float ridiculed the village's efforts to protect the piping plover, an endangered species that is actually threatened with extinction. Southampton Village provides funding to the Commission on Veterans Patriotic Events to help defray the costs of the parade, so it was particularly incredible to me that the parade would include political statements of any kind, but especially ones that were negative towards the administration. This is not only my opinion. I've received numerous phone calls about this and several emails. I'd like to just read excerpts from one. Dear Mr. Mayor, I don't know who this should go to, but I would like to file a formal complaint about the highly inappropriate entry by the North Sea Fire Department in today's Independence Day parade. I'm fairly certain the application to be included in the parade makes it very clear there can be no political messaging, and certainly nothing that would be considered offensive or hateful. But everything about their entry was an offense. I don't understand how they were even allowed to go down the parade route, let alone be the finale once again. It should have been clear to the organizers that they were in violation of the rules and they should have been turned away. They ruined what is usually a very positive and usually an uplifting tradition, and there is no place for that kind of behavior or messaging at a village-sanctioned event. I also assume they are funded by taxpayers, which means they have no business being in any way publicly political. I've discussed this matter with Mr. Bob Grisnick, the chairman of the village's Commission on Veterans Patriotic Events. His group does a wonderful job organizing the parade, and my comments should in no way be construed as criticism of his commission's effort to put on a truly wonderful event, which he did. He advised me that the members of the NSFD were advised prior to embarking on the parade route to eliminate their political comments, which they evidently refused to do, and due to the very busy nature of the event, their float managed to slip through the controls and was allowed to proceed. Mr. Grisnick indicated to me that his commission will review this incident and take action. I sincerely hope that they do, as this was not a joke, not sarcasm, not good-natured fun, but just more of the divisiveness that marked the last election campaign, and which everyone, including the Southampton Press in a recent editorial, has commented should stop and be replaced with greater civility. In the meantime, however, I believe this board should address a complaint to New York State, which provides funding for the North Sea Fire Department, informing them of the department's political activism and inquiring whether taxpayer funds were utilized to do so. Further, Pending the Commission of Veterans Pay-Track Events decision regarding the consequences of this incident, I believe this board should determine whether it has the authority to bar the NFST from participating in next year's parade. I'm sorry to sort of bring up this difficult subject, an unfortunate subject, but I feel that it must be addressed in view of the fact that we really do need to stop this constant bickering and unite as the people lining the parade route wanted us to do. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to give my opinion about this important issue.
Thank you, trustee.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. I just wanted to comment, I wanted to thank you not just for the statement that I think is one that many people were looking for, and I actually didn't even know that was coming, but wanted to thank you for your courage for stating that. I know there was a lot of people that were upset about it for the many points that you pointed out, but most people want to go about their daily lives and enjoy their friends and family and don't want to get involved in putting themselves out there in order to stand up for those who were affected. So I just wanted to thank you for your courage and insight in bringing that up. I'm sure it was not easy to do, but that's exactly what I think people were looking for when they asked you to be a trustee. And so you do represent the village, the entire village, and again, just wanted to thank you for those words. I think it was spot on and a courageous statement, so thank you again for that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'll conclude here with a few comments. On another note, I wanted to actually thank our Public Works Department in advance. It seems to be a tropical storm heading our way. Particularly wanted to thank the Highway Department in advance because I know they will have some work as far as down trees and other branches and keeping our community safe. So they will have their work likely cut out for them over the next couple of days. So I'm sure they'll be hard at work. So thank you for the work you're about to do. I'm sure Bob Hand, amazing employee, electrician. Well, I'm hoping he doesn't have so much work to do, but he might. So thanks to Bob as well and the entire Highway Department and Public Works Department in advance. Also wanted to thank Kevin Gotterer for his multi-decade service to the village. And we really appreciate all of his insights and time that he spent over those years. So I just want to thank him very much for his service. And then lastly, one thing that I'm looking forward to doing is working with the community on the Vietnam Memorial Task Force. This was one of my favorite residents on Lewis Street who had the idea, and we're going to ask a number of people to participate, both veterans and other citizens, and we think this is something that also could help bring us together. It's also something that we believe is needed. We do not have a Vietnam memorial in the village of Southampton, though we do have a World War I and World War II memorial, so this is something that I'm looking forward to working with and working with some of our residents on.
We also have Korea as well.
That's right. Thank you, Trustee McLaughlin. So it's definitely time to explore this further. We're looking to work with the Veterans Affairs Commission and many of our residents who've served our country and thank our many veterans for their service. So just wanted to recognize that. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn to executive session. Is there a second? Or do we not have executive
We
session?
don't
I see it
have
on the agenda.
executive session.
Okay.
No,
All right. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.